Hello and welcome to my conversations coping with COVID. As part of this series, we have placed a great deal of emphasis on the young people in our town. In particular, we've watched closely the progress and preparation for the return to school in September. But it is equally important to think about the impact of lockdown on the well-being and self-confidence of our young people. Best placed to help us understand the impact are the two guests with me today. I'm pleased to welcome Pinky, Group Scout Leader, First Raunds Scout Group, and Lesley Jones, Youth Secretary and Welfare Officer, Raunds Town Football Club. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Let's start with the impact on your organisations on the 23rd of March and the consequences to our young people. Pinky, perhaps you'd like to start.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously quite a shock for everybody how it happened and the speed that it happened. We raised concerns within our group, but I assume everywhere else in the scouting, about young people feeling isolated, not being able to meet with friends, not being able to make new friends, changes of routines, the uncertainty that it's going to give. Obviously also the impact it has on the young people, but also on their families. For the group itself, we couldn't do any fundraising. Camps were cancelled, events were cancelled. So it was quite a hefty impact for everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Lesley.
Well, it was a big struggle for us because obviously a lot of our teams play in the league, and these children have, some of the older ones have grown up from 6 and 7 and played all the way through. They go from various schools as well, so the impact is basically going to be that they weren't going to see their friends, they weren't going to have any exercise, and basically they love their football. So, and the managers were sort of thinking, well, what are we going to do if this all goes pear-shaped? And it did.
So you mean you had to stop all the games and you had to shut down the building? And
yeah, we shut down the building. We said that nobody was allowed to go up to the compound where the goals are. The club room was shut. There was nobody allowed in at all.
So their life then became those of young people who were isolated. So they couldn't be with friends. They couldn't, as Pinky said, they couldn't play out even, could they? They couldn't even kick a ball around in the streets, never mind up on the football club. So I think we shouldn't underestimate the devastating blow to young people. Obviously, then you took time and you get your head around what's going on, and you think again about the context of what you're doing, and you've formulated some plans and responses. So perhaps we go back to you, Pinky. How have the plans and responses been going?
Initially, we sort of were dealing with issues ourselves, sort of getting to grips with our personal lives, those who are working from home. So the first few weeks we focused on, we've got a closed Facebook page where we were posting activities for children to do badge work at home. We dropped materials off that they could use. We joined in a national camp, staying at home. We then decided, well, actually doing something for the children would be best. So we started with weekly Zoom calls for all 3 sections, whereby, well, we invited third parties. So we had drumming lessons, we had a tour through Tanzania, we had a falconry company coming in showing off their birds, we had a virtual tour through a war museum with a talk and an update for the children, explaining them what happened. We had then sessions that we organized ourselves where we did cooking, we did some quizzes, we did scavenger hunts, we organized games, and all of that were then included with work that they could use for their badges, which is obviously very important for young people to continue doing that. It also helped then that they could stay in contact, although it was virtual, but they could see their friends. I would say probably the first 10 minutes of the meeting were kids greeting each other and talking to each other and us asking them, you know, how are you doing? How is it going? Have you done anything nice this week? We even organised a camp ourselves called Halfway to Christmas, because we did that on the, I think, yeah, on the 23rd of June, if I remember correctly. So we thought, let's do something crazy. Apparently even parents and children were walking through Asda with their Christmas jumper on. You know, they made Christmas trees, they slept in dens or in tents. We even continued the Zoom sessions during the holidays, which was amazing. I'm really grateful for the leaders that they were willing to do so, even though the majority of them were working from home, so combining it with their busy and changed work life. So yeah, it was amazing. The group came together, parents supported. Something that I want to mention, thanks to an amazing grant, we've managed to continue doing the Zoom sessions. We will also use that to purchase any items that we need to buy, because obviously, you know, people can't share items when they're doing their activities. So we will use that to to purchase new items, to actually being able to offer new activities. So yeah, that's really, really appreciated. Thank you.
We Raunds Town Council have been very happy to support you. Tell us the age range. So the Beavers, when you joined the Beavers at?
5.5.
5.5.
Yeah.
All the way up to the to yours.
To the, yeah, we only go up to Scouts, and that's 14.5.
Yeah. Even so, it's the school life, isn't it? It's the whole of that piece of school life, and I guess the badges, keeping them going on the back. That's the sense of achievement that you get by being a member of the Scouting movement.
Exactly, and obviously, hopefully, combining it. I mean, we not have everybody who's got a garden or have access to a garden, so having activities that can be done even outside or indoors, but mostly outside if possible. Yeah.
And then of course the Zoom contact meant that they were actually seeing their friends, and they could, and perhaps in some cases it was the only contact they had with the outside groups that they'd already worked with. So
correct.
I would have said that was vital to their well-being, their mental health and well-being across the summer. So what about Raunds Town Football Club? Because that's a very physical presence, isn't it? And to lose that.
Well, obviously they couldn't meet, so some of the coaches did Zoom coaching on, you know, with the kids. Yeah. But the local league, the Weetabix League that we are part of, they put things on their Facebook page encouraging to do kick-ups, headers and things, all different activities like that. Plus they supported the NHS. They sent greetings on the Facebook page to the NHS, and also donated goods and things towards them as well. But the coaches are the ones that we really have to thank, because they're the ones that put the effort in to encourage this.
So how did they do that online? So
yes, all online. They basically they did everybody did a Zoom with a letter, thank you, and then it was sent off to the Weetabix, which was then put onto their Weetabix League Facebook page to thank the NHS for all what they've been doing.
I see. So they were collectively focused on that, at the same time doing some skills practice for them.
Yes, yeah.
So they didn't. How many children are we talking about that you've?
120 children we've got in the club.
That's a lot of children. And again, the age
range from 6 to 13 at the moment.
So it's sort of the same age range group, but the thing about football is it's very physical, isn't it? And it's that feeling of being in a team on the field, and the loss of that would have been quite significant to the. I mean, we'll talk in a minute about now they're coming back, because I'm tell us what you're doing now and the responses now, and if there are any opportunities to meet what you have noticed, if any, you know, what you've noticed about how the young people are coping with the isolation, really. And
well, to some of them, I'm going to say, to some children, football is their life. That's all their social activity they get.
Yeah.
And for it to suddenly stop in March, and we tried to encourage a lot to join the Zooms and things like that, but not everybody could take part in that. So we have to think that when they came back, you know, they did come back and they were full of it, but because they'd not seen their friends for weeks, months.
Yeah. So plans and responses, Pinky, what sort of plans and responses are you thinking now going forward?
We are now working very hard on our risk assessments to return face-to-face scouting. We're currently, in our area in the amber area, or the amber zone, which means that we can meet, but only outside, with a limited group of 15, which includes leaders, which will then effectively mean, as it stands at the moment, that we need to split our groups, because we've got groups who have more than effectively 12 children, because you need at least 3 leaders. So yeah, we're working very hard in the background. We're getting permission from parents, getting a feel of whether they would be willing to return, what they would like to see us putting in place when we are returning. Thankfully, Windmill Primary School, which is where we're meeting, has allowed us to use the field. So there's no restrictions, because I know that there's groups out there who don't have a field directly access to. They only have a building that they hire. So we're very lucky that we could do that. So we're planning on doing hikes. We're planning on doing wide games, so spread out games in the field of Windmill. Yeah, it's quite exciting. It's a lot of work, but everybody is very excited to come face to face again. So we will see how it's going to go. At the moment, like I said, we're going to start on the 8th of September with the scout section initially, just trying to see, because we assume that the older young people have got a better understanding of the social distancing. And see how we can improve and get feedback from their parents and from them, and then hopefully turn it over to the younger sections.
Yes. Well, this is actually a vital piece of the preparation for the return to school in September, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's all very well only living in theory on a screen and talking about these things, but actually it's so easy to forget. Just, you know, just as you're walking down the street, you've got to be conscious all the time, haven't you, of what you're doing. And young people learn very quickly, but they often need to practice to do it, don't they? So that sounds to me, and great that the youth parties, so the schools are working with you to give you the opportunity. That's good too.
Yes.
And luckily you've already got those fields, haven't you, at Raunds Football Club?
Well, yes, but obviously we had to wait for the FA to give us guidelines before we could come back. We couldn't do anything until they said you could. We had to start off with, again, as Pinky said, small groups of 5, social distancing training. So we put into place that the older age group, the oldest team, would start first. So we started with those, and then the following week we introduced another age group and another age group, and we've just started our very small one. They started last week, so our under 7s or under 8s as they'll be this year have just come back, and according to the coach, they were just literally so excited to get back.
Oh, good.
They had to sort of be, you know, you can't do this and can't do that, but they did listen. So we're really pleased with the way parents have installed that their children need to listen to what the coaches say with regards to this new style of football that we're having.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to imagine football being contactless, isn't it?
Well, then we started off contactless, then we were given the go ahead to actually contact football, and then friendlies. But the friendlies have to all be adhered to the strict guidelines of track and trace and things like that, cleaning and everything else.
It's all extra work, isn't it, for the volunteers?
It is, because I mean, you've got to clean the goals at half time when the goalkeepers change ends.
Yeah.
If the ball goes out to play and somebody else other than the footballer touches it, then you've got to put another one in play and clean that one because somebody else has touched it.
No, gosh, you never think, do you, about the detail, the consequence of the details? But very interesting, though, and very interesting that you've got all that ready. That's really good. So, we could just say a word or two about the volunteers? Because obviously you're expecting all the young people to come back, are you, from your 120?
We've got, from what I can gather from the coaches, nearly everybody has come back.
We also need the volunteers, though, don't we? So we need them to learn new things. We need them to be enthusiastic again, and otherwise none of it will go forward. Especially when you got to do more now when you're watching. I mean, it's all the
But
challenge.
then you see, we are stuck with we can't have. I mean, we're lucky because the youth play up at Amos Lawrence Park, and it's not private park but a public park. They can have spectators. But at the main club, if they play any games up there at the moment, we're not allowed any paying spectators in.
No, of course not. But the important thing is they're coming back, they're enthusiastic, they're very quickly getting it. And as we said, as Pinky said, it's really important for their return to school.
Yes.
They now learn some of these distancing rules so that it's easier for everybody, parents and I guess you're helping the parents too, because as you're reading the guidelines, either for the Scouts or for the football, you're reading the guidelines, you're communicating that to the children, to the parents, you're involving the parents in it. Then of course that gives them confidence as well, and they'll know better what to look for when the children go to school. So I think you're doing a very, very, very important job.
Thank you.
From a point of view from me, the welfare of those children and the parents and the coaches are paramount to me.
Yeah,
I want them to feel safe to come back.
Yeah, good, thank you. No, that's really important. So let's do then a message to the community, to everybody, to the scouting movement or to the football. A message from you to all of those young people out there. Do you want to start, Lesley, and then?
I'd like to say to all those parents and players who are undecided whether football is for them in this new world, please come back. We've done everything we can to secure the cleaning and the positive side. We will be safe. Your children and yourselves will be safe wherever you go to play football.
Oh, thank you. And Pinky, the last
Yeah.
word is yours.
Thank you. I effectively it's the same what Lesley has said. We are safe. We are putting things in place to keep the young people safe, to keep the leaders safe, to keep adults safe. We'll get through this together. Let's adapt to this new normal, be resilient, continue meeting friends, making new friends. We still have spaces in all sections, so please do contact us if you're interested. We are there. We are there for you. We are there in a safe way. Continue learning new skills and yeah, join us. We are happy to welcome adults to help out, but also young people. We've got an amazing group with very hardworking adults, leaders, and amazing young children. So it's young people, should I say. So it's, please do come back or join us.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. We are all very grateful for the many volunteers represented here today by Lesley from Raunds Football Club and Pinky, Group Scout Leader, First Raunds Scout Group. We are now more conscious of the issues of welfare and lack of contact with friends that have resulted from the lockdown. We have heard on a previous podcast how schools are preparing to welcome young people in September. And today it has been very encouraging to learn about how our volunteer organisations are helping our children. The Scouts organisations and sports clubs across the country make a tremendous contribution to the welfare of our young people. And we are proud that Raunds is in the forefront with its considerable number of youth organisations, which, as a town council, we are pleased to support. Thank you.